Common People Podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Hey, everybody. How's everybody doing? It's a beautiful summer. Hope for love, peace. Send your hugs out.
Yes, yes, yes. And I'm thankful to be joined by my beautiful co-host, and I appreciate her presence. The topics that we're going to be talking about are racial demographics and culture, ancestry, and DNA results. When it comes to racial demographics and culture, United States has multiple different groups here.
Mm,
We have the most diverse groups, I think, close to anywhere in the world almost. We have white Caucasian people that are from different diasporas of the land, such as you would say Europe. You have Irish, you have Dutch, you have German. Then we would go into people that are of Hispanic nationality from either South America, Brazil, Mexico,
mm,
or either, I would say, Puerto Rico, because they also speak a Spanish language or Latin American dialect. Then we have Black and African American, which are two groups. We have Black African Americans, then we have African Americans, which derive from different places. One group is what we would call FBA, basically the people that were born here that pretty much have roots here and been here for a long time. Then we have people that have came from what we call the motherland, Africa, that have got citizenship here and they are considered African Americans. We also have Asian Americans, which consist of Chinese Americans, Filipino Americans, Cambodian Americans from that diaspora, and also that demographic of race. And then we have multicultural people, which are of all different backgrounds. So America is kind of like what they state a melting pot of different demographics. Um, we talk about racial demographics and culture. Culture is something that pertains to you would do on a daily basis. It's a part of your um,
ancestry.
ancestry
Hmm.
or either your genetic makeup. It's a of something you partake in,
As
and
when you were born, the culture that you were born in. For instance, if you were born as an African American, you would look at some of the foods you eat, recognizing some of the traits that you are familiar with your culture, some of the hairstyles, the clothing, even the linguistic language that you speak. So it actually culture divides division. Who do you belong to? Who are your ancestors? Where did you come from? What form of group do you follow?
one of the things that we, as Black Americans, are Afro Indigenous people, are African Americans. In our culture, we partake in lots of gatherings and groups, such as every time during the summertime, we will have these things called family get togethers,
Juneteenth
which will be called, the family the family meeting.
reunions, such as those things. We would collaborate with different organizations. As we can say, like I mentioned, Juneteenth is one of them. We does celebrate the Martin Luther King. We take history to Black history. So we do have different variations of what we do to represent our culture. Although most of the time during the 1960s through the 1970s, we were mostly seriously cultivated during the process of people wearing afro centric naturals, the recognition to recognize our culture. We made sure that the Afrocentric of American blacks were highlighted during that time. During our music, during our culture dances, um, we tribulated to contributed to a lot of our different foods that we eat. So yes,
Yes, and one of the aspects of our culture demographics as people of our nationality, we tend to live in most inner city parts, urban parts. We have created those into a great equity, and we have created a great stability within those areas of buying the properties, making our own types of, how can I state this, our creativity
yes,
pretty much be explored through our surroundings, our urban
yes, yes.
surroundings. We made it into a comfortable place
We are
that represents
creators.
us.
We are creators. We can create anything that is necessary, that of means. If it was left up to us, we would create dancing. We create a lot of clothing. We create different foods. So, as an Afro American person, um, we also have categorization. We're categorized to be in certain places, and as a group, we are margined to be in one location in the hood, in a neighborhood where of African American, which back in the days, it was called red lighting. So we could not go any place but within that community.
Yes, that is true. And within our group of our nationality, we have different, I would say, people of different diaspora groups. So within the African American group, we would have groups like Haitian Americans that are of the same descendants of Africans, or some are actually tribal, people from the Caribbeans. And then we have people like Jamaicans that come from the Caribbeans. We have groups like the Trinidadians that come from a also a Caribbean type of background. We have multiple different groups of subsets of our nationalities that are kind of broken into different variables. So when we're talking about racial demographics and culture, we know in each group there's a different type of, how can I state this, a way of life. So Jamaicans are a vibrant and diverse culture, a blend of African, European, and indigenous peoples. The influences are rich heritage, and reflection is music, particularly reggae. Their cuisine is a lot of different dishes. You know, the jerk chicken,
That's
um,
correct.
and they have a lot of community presence. When it comes to Jamaican people, they brought the aspect of the gathering with the large speakers. This is also a part of what created hip hop culture in America. So we always, as people of our nationality, we always welcome everybody in because we first laid the paved the way for everybody to build here. And the whole point was to create that type of, bridge so we can bring others over and we can populate and get mass numbers. And doing so, we brought multiple different groups, and each group brings a different aspect of information, of knowledge, of, I would say, strength, of awareness, and intelligence. And what we do, we collaborate together and we build on that. So that way we can make our race or our culture or our demographic culture much more stronger.
And as we can tell, the melon scan breaks down in several different countries, in different languages, in different cultures. Like, for instance, if we talk about the Haitian people, they're 95% tracing their origins from Africa. So, what we're focusing on, this conversation that we're trying to focus to have you focus on, there's different cultures, it's different skin type of color melons, but where their origins from makes it a little more interesting. So we have to give understanding that there are people who are in the United States, are from United States, and there are people who come from other West Africa or other parts of a melon location. But looking into where we're here in United States, it examines again colorism. So now we want to tell you there's different division of cultures.
Yes. So, like I was explaining, the Jamaican has a different division of culture within our culture. And then you have people that are Haitian, which have also a rich culture that's woven from Africa, European, and Latin American trends with strong influences from its history and geographic. Key aspects include a vibrant music and dance scene, expressive communication styles, strong family values, and a deep connection to voodoo tradition. And some say that the voodoo tradition is pretty much the first origins of our religion as people of our nationality, our diaspora that come from our race. But it was made to be, something a little bit different in Western civilization because they didn't have a better understanding of it. But it is a very vibrant tradition, and it is a religious tradition within that culture. That culture is very family orientated, very expressive. They have lots of craft and arts. I would suggest you want to go and dig more into that lifestyle and those type of people of that background to understand a better perspective of what culture is. For instance, I can give it to you in layman terms. There's cats, right? We know there's multiple type of cats. There's a leopard, a lion, a tiger,
Bobcat,
bobcat, a saber-tooth tiger. Well, but they're all cats. It's
different
just different
species.
species of cats. We're looking at it from that term like we are people that are melanated, but we have different colors of melanation. We have different vibrant groups within our melanation nation itself. And we all come together and make a whole, pretty much like a gumbo.
Which is multiculturalism, a mixture of people from different various places. But as we are as a person, we are considered one race. So when we say race, race is the human race, just like they have the animal kingdom race. Our human species is one race. But as we're looking at um, within our country, we have not the whole melting pot here, but we have specifically, I would say, 50% of other cultures within. But those who have been here prior to that, this is what we're going to communicate on this one. Let's get busy on that.
Yes. I'm going to go into one diaspora of another race that is also pretty much has a big population and also have roots here in America is the Cuban American culture, which is another culture that is mixed more of Spanish African influence, shaped by its history and its revolutionary blending of diversity and tradition. Um, this is another family oriented culture with strong family and community bonds are deeply valued in Cuba society. Cubans are known for their warmth, hospitality, and willingness to share their culture with others. And pretty much they are a very um, vast people that have heritage that goes back all the way to Africa and also to the Spaniards who came to their home and mixed with them.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they have a different diaspora of melanated people that have a different um, way of living. So what we're saying is that, like I was telling you, in the layman terms, that you know, some of us are lions, some of us are tigers, some of us are leopards, some of us are cheetahs. We are pretty much the same people, but we have different beautiful patterns that separate us in our own way. So when I was talking about racial demographics and culture, the demographics also mean about where you live and where you come from that
Mm-hmm.
builds you up, right? So we know when one group is here near, I would say, the Mississippi, and they have a heritage of fishing more, their demographic in that area is that they pretty much focus on a lot of fishing for catfish or other type of fish that they would pretty much use for selling, um, for food source. It's a part of their daily diet. It's a cultural thing. It's like a ritual that they consistently do, and they are pretty much involved with that due to their racial demographic and their aspect of where they live. Um, we all have different cultures, like in the Black American community. You would see that a lot of traditional dishes that we ate were chicken, fried chicken.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if you don't know, I'm gonna let you know that the original recipe for the KFC, which you
Yes.
would call Kentucky Fried Chicken, actually came from a slave. So a slave taught Mr. Colonel Sanders the recipe, and Mr. Colonel Sanders then took that recipe and made millions and millions and trillions of dollars off of it. But later on his during his time of passing away before that, he gave notification that he got all of his recipes and ingredients from a slave that hailed from a different demographic, from a other place which he had to go and visit because this person was making such, I guess I would say, delightful and delicious food that it brought a big gathering, a big following. People wanted to know who this person was that was enslaved, that was making this wonderful, delicious food. So we all have different types of traditional,
Mm-hmm. We bring to the
cultural
table.
things that we bring to the table
Mm-hmm.
in order to share with other people. And with that, did you want to get into any more about any types of racial demographics or cultural settings that would be different from other races or just partake in any of that?
So categorizing. Okay. So um, what we do as humans, we sort of kind of put people in their own box. We figure out as we're looking at where we think you're from. If we're thinking that because you are skin of African American in this country, you look black, and you could be actually from Cuba. So in this country and others around other places, we tend to put people in categories. So when we do that, we are taking away um, where they're originally from and where we think they're originally from. So what we want you to understand that there are African American people that probably is not even from Africa, are African American people who are African that is not even from United States. So our country is divided into different multicultures, and the conflict that we have right now is based on skin melon. We tend to again put people into certain traits based on where we think they're from. And by not knowing my whole family history, I don't know where I'm from. I know I was born here in the United States, but I don't know my family traits, my family history, um, my genealogy. I don't know anything about it needs to be traced. My DNA. I need to get that done. So maybe I could know what percentage, but can I trust that? Can you chime on that?
Yes. I was going to dig into that a little bit more on my last subject, but yes, I'm going to touch a little bit on that. When we're talking about demographics and culture, we're talking about the origins, the beginnings of certain people, and the racial, how can I say, divide is what gives you a perspective of what a person is, who they are, where their ancestry hails from, their way of thinking, their way of life, and through what we call taking, I would say, samples of a person's blood, you can trace those type of pieces and bits of information through their genetics. Um, Sometimes we see in this day and age, everything is pretty much about a representation of who you are. We understand that every person has their own belief and their own belief system. This comes from cultures. Some people, like I stated to you, in different types of diasporas of our nationality of what we call African American, Afro American, Afro Indigenous, FBA, African American, or Black people represent themselves in different ways. For one, a lot of people down south tend to be much more into the religious of the Baptists. People from the north tend to have much more of a, either I would say, a Jehovah's Witness, and then people towards other areas are much more Orthodox. They have different diasporas, they have Catholic, Christianity. So when you travel into different regions,
Yes.
different demographics, and different people having the different culture values, their values also go with what type of religion they believe in.
And the politics change as well as how they socialize, the economics change, the psychological part of it, it changes. So, what others do, um, people of different necessities in different locations of this planet, we all live in one breathing. We breathe air, we take in breath, we use the bathroom, and we, are present on Earth. But the only difference that we have so much differences is our culture. So we have to embrace other cultures, but also at the same time be familiar where people origin from, because that's a really deep theme. Because when we start really looking at other people of other melon skin or other Caucasians or other ethnics, we tend to be judgmental if they either multicultural, a person who's mixed with black and also white. It tends to be misunderstood and questioned. What are you? What color are you? Who are you? Where's your people from? To ask these questions for real, we need to know where everything is department from. Where did it really, and where did it all come from? How is it that we're here in a place in America and we're not knowledgeable about who we belong in culture wise?
So on that point, when you're saying that falling in place, America tends to have everything done in a systematic type of format. So when you look at a application, you see on the application it asks you, are you Pacific Islander? Are you of Hispanic origin? Are you of African origin? Everything here is done by a racial type of informative check sheet. You have to pretty much give detail of who you are, what you are. And sometimes we don't really get to see who the person is spiritually. We don't get a better understanding of how that person can be a very vibrant, happy person, how that person can be very intelligent. They can be very informative when conversation. You can learn information from a person, but based upon these different type of barriers that we place, which are
Category.
racial,
Mm-hmm.
demographics, and culture, we tend to limit ourselves in conversation. We tend to sometimes think we know a person just based upon where they're from. For instance, like if you were to meet somebody from Oakland, you would think, oh, he's either involved in some type of street type of life.
Exactly.
He grew
Gang.
up in a very rough life. But
Mm.
I have a lot of friends from Oakland. They're very
Dangerous to be
intelligent.
around.
They're very intelligent. They're very articulate. Very good businessmen. Very well rounded when it comes to community and preservation of their people and what they stand on. They stand on a lot of business. They look for the proper ways to make a decent income, and they tend to collaborate with each other, and they build very quickly, and they keep that diaspora of our melanated people in a good position to keep wealth and growth going. So when you look at a person from LA, you would think the same thing. Oh, that person's a gang member, but you don't take the time to talk to a person. And when we're getting this conversation across, we're trying to pretty much let you know that, hey, just because a person is a certain race, they come from a different demographic, they have a different type of cultural setting where they came from, a way of mannerism, a way of walking, a way of tradition,
The physical character.
characteristics,
Mm-hmm.
does not mean that they're not anything different from you. They just have a different perception of things, of thinking. Meaning, like I just stated, they come from a different religion. When you come from a different religion and you're raised to be Catholic, you're taught different mannerism. That's a part of that culture within that. You're taught to pray at a certain time of night. That's a part of your culture. You do this. Everybody in your village does this because this is a set type of way of lifestyle. The demographic of where you come from. If you're eating catfish because that's the majority of fish that's in that area, that's
Yes.
a part of your culture. That's a part of your racial makeup. That's a part of who you are in your demographic of area. So we tend to sometimes look at that as the only way to identify a person, but we have to
Right.
understand people are bigger than that. People, pretty much to me, are like a planet. Each person is their own planet, no matter what race or nationality that they are, where they come from, or origin, they have their own way of thinking.
And
Um,
so we do physically appearance. We tend to judge a person of how they look on the outside, and it's very difficult to assume that you know what that person is and where they come from or who their culture is connected to. So here in America, we are people who are African American, and we keep saying African American because one side of us say we're parts of Africa, and the other part says I'm part of American. But in turn, I don't really know where I'm really from. Again, I'm emphasizing that. So as we're saying the physical appearance, my physical appearance shows that I'm African American. That's how I look. But when it comes down to the underlining or finding out the DNA, this is why we are blocked. One of the reasons why we're doing this, um, to let you know about the culture, is because the difficulty of finding out who do you really belong to. I want to make you think about that. What culture do you belong to? Do you know any information about where your people, grandmother, great grandfather? Can you go and do a family tree right now and have everything mapped out? Have you ever thought about doing that? This is where I'm at now. Seriously, this is where the information is lacking.
But here in America, we do have a very history that is very how can I say this, foundational here in America. We have the civil rights movement. We have the slavery movement that we fought through slavery. We have the Punic Wars where we fought. We have the war of Civil War that we fought. Um, in America, we too, we have fought in every type of war since the beginning of this whole country. We have been involved with everything here. The building of this country, this is our culture. So when people sometimes have a harsh way of perception of thinking that we don't have no culture, this is our culture. Building this country, being enslaved here, fighting in all these wars,
This is it.
creating the guidelines to fight against civil rights, creating the guidelines to fight against these different types of racial dispositions that they put us upon. We have stood up and we have created laws and got laws passed that are historical, that have allowed other people of other ethnicities to come here. Ethnicities, I can't apologize.
I do that too.
Yeah, I'm trying to pronounce that word properly. Of ethnic groups to come here. We have allowed that pathway to be open for them, that bridge, so they can come across and they can now enjoy the fruits and live. Because we pretty much labored here. We labored here when it comes to the rich cultural history of our music, like jazz, rock and roll, bebop, folk music, country music. If you didn't know that black people, yes, we invented country music. Rock and roll was invented by Chuck Berry and others. We have a very steep history here in America. We have built a lot traditionally. When it comes to a lot of entrepreneurs and the first millionaires that were of our nationality and our race that are melanated, you can look at multiple people who have created the pathway of being the first to establish businesses here in America and to make a mark worldwide, to give that aspiration to other people of our nationality, of our diaspora, of our melanated skin color, or close to that type of green light to say, hey, you can do the same thing that I did. You can come from the same impoverished places. You can come from the same demographics. You can come from the same places and still break racial barriers. So our culture is really here, and it's pretty much embedded in stone here in America. Yes, some of us don't know who we are. We don't have all the ins and outs, but some of us have been here
Exactly.
before the history of this country. The reason why we're giving you this, because like Marcy for MLK was stating, that some of us don't know the true history of information. And that's where the part I want to get into my second part of the discussion, and that is ancestry. So we know ancestry comes from, you know, your DNA, but your DNA
Where your family.
and ancestry is what created your culture, your demographics of where you're from. So the ancestry of your ancestors, those who came before you, those who gave you these different type of cultural, natural attributes that you use to this day. When it comes to sewing, we know a lot of different people from Africa can sew, but that comes from a long line of history of your ancestors who did it before you, and it was passed on generation to generation to generation to generation. Just like here in the United States, we have a lot of people that are very good at articulating and creating things. When we look at most of these black inventors that are here in America, we have lots of them, okay? And we have always been inventing from day one here, because we had to invent a way to live in society where they didn't treat us in a proper manner. So black inventors are pretty much the aspects. So when we look at black inventors, we have significant contributions to
Right.
various fields through history.
I think the Renaissance days, and I think um, the black inventors are not given their title. And of course, we don't know a lot about a lot of inventors. We're just now pulling up information.
Yes. Like one of the most notable is George Washington Carver, known for his work with peanuts,
Hmm.
which, as you know, he created peanut butter. He also created peanut oil, which is also used to this day. Um, there's multiple different inventors, but we don't know really a lot about their heritage, their backgrounds, and their
Hmm.
foregrounds. We don't know about their ancestry, but we know that most of this to us is a part of our identity here in America.
We got Madam C.J. Walker, businesswoman, straight up, was about the hair care. We have a lot of African American people. They say Frederick Douglass, we put him down there. We can put people who use Newton, we can put him down there, as well as Bobby Seale. When I say inventors, inventor of intelligence, awakening people up, and we can put down as far as George Washington Carver. Um, there is also people like Elijah McCoy,
We have
and people
Gary.
who've done so much, and even New York City, built by African Americans. Let's give them a hand up because these were free men, and they helped put that United States together in New York City
The
and built
Freeman
some
Act,
other
yes,
places.
the Freeman Bank.
Mm-hmm.
We have Garrett Morgan, an
Mm-hmm.
inventor and businessman. Morgan is best known for his inventing the gas mask. This is a very uh, profitable thing that he brought to existence. You know, this was used in multiple different ways. The gas mask is still used to this day. So, what I'm saying to you, our ancestry is very rich, and it's very deeply based in American society. This is what we represent as our culture. We represent as our livelihood, as our pretty much um, forefathers have paved the way to give us this type of platforms that we use now to build and create more, as we see that we are now a franchise when it comes to our nationality. Black Americans in America are pretty much used for every type of aspect of income, from companies through rap music, through hip hop, through R&B, through
Making decision
sports,
making.
entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
We are a franchise people. This is a part of our culture too. Also, we invent,
Yeah.
we create styles, we
Exactly.
create new type of idealism of thinking. We create concepts. We are a very inventive people, like I just stated. Did you want to chime in on that too, Mrs.?
Yes. As we can say, we have had not that much of a real platform on a higher level than what it should be. We can only say that we had some very great leaders, from Martin Luther King to Malcolm X. J. Edgar Hoover is one of the people who destroyed some of those things. As far as they tried to destruct the reputation, but we have had great leaders, and those leaders have done great, powerful positions where they put their family on the line and help their own people. So they did their sacrifice, and their life was not really, given that proper level where they should be given. And
Yes.
yeah, so when it comes down to us giving culture, and understanding that everybody has different cultures, but each culture does have a position where they are uplifted. Our culture, as where we're at as African Americans here, we need to be up on a better, higher platform than where we at now.
Yes, I agree. That is truly right. And I would say that this is why we need to know about our ancestry. We need to have a lot of conversations, dialogue. We need to sit down and bring a lot of stuff to the forefront. We need to share knowledge and we need to build. This is the only way we're going to get to a better position in society and we're going to achieve the things that we really need to achieve. We need to be heard. Our voice need to be as a pretty much common cause.
Like electricity.
We need to just pretty much unite. And this is why we're doing what we're doing here at the Rose Room discussion and Power for the Common People with Marcy for MLK.
MLK.
We're doing this
Common people.
because we want to see a lot of people bridge the gaps. And the reason why we're talking about this because one of the issues right now that's going on is we have a lot of people that are very proud of where they're from, which we have no problem with it. But we notice that a lot of people have been neglecting the strives and achievements that have came from our people that are foundational Black Americans here.
Exactly.
And we want them to understand that we don't have any type of hatred for anyone. We don't have any type of disrespect for anyone.
But we like to be respected. Like the statement that Joe made, that rap music came from, as you want to shine on that one. And then we had a lot of people who have been saying disrespectful things about African American people. And then we're finding out that indigenous people, somehow we don't have enough information on that. But we're finding out that there were black people here in America before all the called Columbia 1492 kicked in. So that we're supposed to have had the first slavery jumped in 1600s here in America. But however, there is a blockage when it comes down to for us to know more about who we really belong to as our blood DNA line, ancestry. We don't know that information, but we do belong to a strong culture. We recognize that, but we need to be on a higher, extreme alert platform because as we're looking at all these different people who have had these particular high level positions have not dealt or even begin to even recognize or even bother to even see this as a real problem. So we're digging into something that's not talked about, not thought about, but we want you to recognize that why is your culture so valuable, but not valuable when it comes down to recognition.
Yes, so when we're talking about ancestry, culture, and demographic and racial um, position in this country, we're looking at the way that most people have a different perception. That's what we were saying. Like, don't judge a book by its cover.
Mm-hmm.
Don't state that you can dictate a person based upon the fact that they come from a certain area, or they talk a certain way, or they dress a certain way, or their way of lifestyle is in a manner to where you think that it's not really up to par to you.
American or
It's
you,
not pretty
yeah,
much. It's
it's
not
not the
of
way
an
you live.
not the way you live because
Yeah, your
everybody
ethnic
has a
mindset.
different culture,
Mhm.
a different demographic that they represent and where they come from. So when we were saying about people somehow getting this wrong disposition about most Black Americans are Afro Indigenous people, they perceive that we don't have a culture. And I just stated to you about all the things that we have achieved through all the wars, all of the bills and legal rights that were pretty much given due to black people pushing the issue, marching, protesting, getting bills signed,
Yes.
um, putting lawsuits in order, being
Screaming,
the
hollering.
first to graduate from Harvard, being the first to um, have their own law firms, Black Wall
Events.
Street. We can
Mm-hmm.
go on and on. We can go through the different towns that were flooded here in the United States that were all black owned. We can go to Allensworth, that's in California. We can go to multiple places. We have paved the way,
We
and
have paved the way,
all
but
we're
we
trying to do is
yes,
make people understand that there's a very diverse, rich culture here in America of people that look like you, that were here, that have been here for a long time, and we have pretty much stood on business fighting for our civil rights for a very long time. And what we're not going to do is allow anybody to come here and try to pretty much degrade us and state that we don't have anything and we have not fought for
mm-hmm,
anything, when the whole reason why most of the people that are here is because of what we have done and what we have
exactly.
achieved and the blood that we have shed. So we need to just let people recognize that. Like I said, we're not here to disrespect anybody. We're not here to state that nobody's culture is better. We're not
Better.
here
That's
to
right.
act like as if we have more knowledge than other people. We're just here to say, hey, we're on the equal playing field as you. We're playing the same game. We're fighting the same fight.
Exactly.
We're trying to go against the same people that's trying to suppress all of us. And what we need to do is recognize each other on a better perspective and have more better dialogue and have a better, disposition when it comes to each other of mutual respect. This
And
is
one of the biggest things has that we need to open our eyes and as far as walking this level is respect for the black woman, as far as respect for the black man. For some reason, we have been dealing with division in that area where instead of us come together like we used to have that agreement, we have division so deep that one side believes that they're totally in war with each other instead of making a reunion together. We have declined on black marriages. We have declined on relationships. We have been lacking the understanding that we are a very powerful culture, very strong, and have come into so much blessings that every time we have to deal with code switching and two faces, not only do we have to deal with code switching, like for instance, we are not able to recognize our own nature, our own naturalism, our own. Every other culture has their own naturalism. Like if I was with another person from another culture and they were with their family members and they were talking their language, that is their naturalism. For us as African American, we either African American or either from African descent. We have to decide, and then we have our own personal life. So we have to switch from this direction to this other direction and always claim if we're African American, let's be treated within that culture. But also, if we're Black American, let's be treated in that culture. The definition of who we are is not too identifiable. It's we can't identify that unless we all took a DNA test, and that can give us more detail of who our ancestry is. But we want you to know how powerful this culture, how divisionized has it become. And the strategy is from you not knowing or for you to take a stand finding out.
yes. So when it comes to consideration and high regard, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to show compassion. We're trying to show a behavioral pattern of higher knowledge. We're trying to show a better vibration. We're trying to show appreciation to people. We're trying to get a better understanding. Now, when it comes to ancestry, we know that we have a rich heritage. We all acknowledge that. Um, this makes us diverse.
Hmm.
This makes us pretty much competitive. This is what gives us our natural attributes. This what makes us a consideration for certain positions because of our knowledge and our heritage and what we pretty much embody from our ancestors. Sometimes it makes us very hostile because some of us come from places to where we have to go through more changes, and that too is not a bad thing, but it's a part of a growing process in our our spiritual you know our spiritual development here
Yes.
in the society. Um, we're paying attention more now to how we come across. We want to be very firm and stern, but we don't also want to be too disrespectful. Racial demographic and culture plays a part, and the ancestry is also a guide. So some people would say, with Marcy for MLK, she perceived that she wants to take a DNA test. Me myself, I say that's cool, but sometimes I don't really trust the DNA test
Mm.
because I see that they're ran by 23andMe, and most of these companies are ran by people that are not really forthcoming, like I would state.
Yes. So it makes me
I
kind of scared
watch
to take
I
one.
watched one gentleman. He sent in a test that was with his dog,
Hmm.
and his dog was told that he's from Africa, and his dog was told that he's from Greece and Germany. So the test didn't really result any resolve to me. It didn't bring anything that was any contribute that would show that a person is from somewhere, and I can believe that. So, to those out there who want to take a DNA test, that's up to you. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying that make sure who you're doing it with is a professional.
Exactly.
And sometimes, there's also black owned companies out there. I'm not trying to toot anybody's horn. I'm not trying to discourage anybody, but I'm saying you can find people that are of your own melanin and older diasporas of your own racial demographic that have the same knowledge, same tools, and
Hmm.
probably are even much more better, but just are not pretty much popular. Um, we have to acknowledge these type of things. We have to recognize what the value are in our ancestry. This to me is a key to unlocking a lot of this turmoil that we're going through right now. Back and forth, we're arguing. We have some Haitian people feel like we don't have culture. Some African people now are chiming in, and we're going back and forth on these type of social media platforms. Jamaican people are feeling the same way. But when we kind of look at the root of the origins, we're seeing that it comes from certain groups who are pulling the strings. And these same groups that pulling the strings are the same groups that are treating us all in an impoverished way in our demographic of where we come from.
Hmm.
Um, but at the same time, just like Cain and Abel, we are going at each other's heads. This is the problem that we're dealing with right now.
Cultural construction.
Yes,
We're constructed how we behave. It's a like somebody wrote a story on you and your culture, and then the label is, well, for us, we're known to what, watermelon, chicken, and we like having stealing from people, and we're big liars and drug users and sell drugs and criminals. So when you have a label and it's constructed into people perceive as what they hear and think that that information is focused on your culture, and they believe these downfalls, and they throw these different labelisms at you, and you really believe that is who you represent in your culture. So then what happens for some people believe that the negative part about your culture is the truth. But if you look at the media and you look at um, like going into Oakland, California. There's nothing jumping off when I went to Oakland, California, but believing in a, s-
A
a
false narrative.
title and a label.
False narrative.
Uh-huh.
That's what pretty much is putting us in a variable here. It's a way of having this non empathy for each other. It's a way of not understanding acknowledgement for each other. So what we do, we have a fear of connecting with each other and sharing information and giving each other details on what's going on. Like she just stated, me and her went to Oakland. From what we seen on the news, there was like shootings, there's murders.
Mm-hmm.
When we went to Oakland, it was a laid back, kickback place. We went to
Quiet,
Jack London Square.
beautiful,
We had a beautiful, good time,
culture related.
a very cultural time. We went down there. We ate food, ate pizza. We partook in the the environment.
Mm-hmm.
We had a chance to go around the city. It was just it was very comfortable. It wasn't what people perceived it to be through these type of social media platforms.
Perceptions
And
and
like I said to you,
mhm.
what I'm saying to you about the same group is pulling the same strings above all of our heads, it's pretty much the same everywhere. The fear tactic is used everywhere. Fear tactics were used in slavery. If you looked at slavery, what they would do is take the strongest male from each group, because they had slaves from every different place. The Caribbeans, from the Americans, from the Africans, from any group. And what they would do is they would pretty much hurt that slave to make the other slaves fear to not want to be, punished in that manner. So that would keep the fear factor. So in this day and age now, when we fast forward to the new technology, the new fear factor is these phones, this
Social
misinformation,
media.
social media,
Mhm.
um, people's different. Like I said, they're not really ready to take responsibility of building in themselves and being comfortable with themselves. So that's why they're not comfortable with other people. That's why we get into these type of heated arguments, these different confrontations. We don't have the respect for each other. We don't have no background information on each other. And the stuff that we're going off of is what we're seeing on social media. Um, and then we got to also understand too, there's agents out there. Okay. So
Exactly.
there's people that are internet, what I call them are internet professors. They're social media um, people that have degrees in social media
In
analogy.
anthropology,
Yeah.
they
So
study the human way of life, and they predict how a human will turn out from cultivated from a person from coming from a certain type of area. Like if you live in an environment that's successful, where you have two parents that is successful, you are to turn out into a position of a perfect white picket fence person, a robotic, the way society will want you.
depiction.
Anything that is lower than that um, is considered African American black women. We're supposed to be the lowest of the label of the low, degrading type of person who won't be successful, who will bring up children because we're not properly um, having our children function without a father. So we produce um, supposed to be wild cowboys. Let's put it like that.
Yes. So they a lot of false depictions of people will like to paint a picture that is pretty much showing no cultural sensitivity, no awareness, no representation, no
Mm-hmm.
father figure, uh, lack of
Non-functionism.
education, no
That's right.
functional
That's how we function.
functional stability
And
in
it's
the
a
home.
lie. It's painted picture, and then what makes it even bad if we believe it. If we as a culture believing what is said about us, what we see on media, what we continue to pull in to our minds, it tells you how do you feel about your own people, because some people are prejudiced of their own kind.
Yes, that's why I said we have the double agents in our culture too. Also, so
Triple.
I was also stating that I noticed that when a lot of people get into a certain wealth group, they get into a certain wealth of status in
Yeah.
this country. All of a sudden now they're told they're not from this country. They're given origins stories of being from other places. Um, I don't know if this is a trend. I don't know if this is something that
Mm.
people are doing now, but this is causing a lot of catastrophic, I would say, separation. Because what I was saying, like the foundation of the music here, the foundation of our culture, us creating our own economy, us being a $15 billion a year economy, and that's only in certain forms of music. That's not stating in the whole format of us. As a culture, we contribute over, I think it's
Mm-hmm.
$10 trillion. So $10 trillion is a lot of money. That's a lot of common wealth. That's big wealth. Okay. We are a fundamental moving machine. We have a lot of say. We should dictate a lot. We should be pretty much speaking on a lot. But when certain people get to a certain type of level in society, um, like I said, the same people that have been pulling the strings for a long time, they've been doing this for a long time. If you look at some of the groups, you would say, like, hey, this group was together. That one artist left the group. Now he's changed his disposition. He doesn't talk to his people
Exactly.
too
Doesn't
much.
even.
He
He
doesn't
doesn't look
communicate.
good no more.
Right. He doesn't look like he has any type of vibrant soul
Connection
anymore.
with
No
anything.
connection with
Yeah.
the urban type of demographics that he comes from. He has no
No, you
type of
wouldn't think he came
cultural
from there.
type of spirituality. So what I'm saying to you is that when people get to a certain position in our community, and this is for any diaspora of people of our background as melanated people, they tend to remove themselves and then they follow a new path based upon what
Exactly.
the people who have pretty much put them in poverty from the beginning dictates. And like I said to you, one of the things I seen was that a lot of people are then saying that, hey, I'm not from America no more. I'm not from this place,
Exactly.
Africa. I'm from here. I found my lineage to
I
be
mixed
from,
with this.
yeah, from London. My lineage must comes much more from Scottish. It's like,
I'm part this.
so this is what I was saying to you. The DNA test is good. The ancestry, knowing your ancestry is good, but it's also a type of two-sided coin to where it can be good on the way how you perceive it if you're looking at it from a perspective of gaining knowledge. But when you're pretty much on a, how can I state this, a unconsideration of how you then want to come across to others
Mm.
as using that as being the platform to where you're stating like, hey, I'm better than you because I have this type of DNA, and now I don't pretty much familiarize with what you are because I am now seen as a whole nother race.
Correct.
So this is why we're saying this, because we're seeing this pretty much online with a lot of different nationalities and cultures, and people are clashing and they're telling people, hey, I'm not from this group, you have no history, and I'm from this group and we have a history, and all these things are happening now, and we share more DNA with this group over here. We have a better cultural demographic over here because we know who we are, and we have a better ancestry over here because we came from the original. But when we look at it as a whole, we're all pretty much suffering in the
Yeah.
same type of manner, which is
Yes,
it's
that's
just
correct.
being done in a different format to us, but we don't see that. We're just only going against each other, and this has been pretty much the tool that they
To
have
destroy,
used
to make you destroy
to
your own
destroy us for a
kind.
long
But
time.
if we really dig in deep now, let's go by what are shaped our beliefs. We have a strong moral belief that it's just things that we had rules and regulations, and there were things that we checked. If your person did something out of line, you would probably have an uncle, a grandmother, a elder person put you in check. um, so some of our practices that we were used to conducting ourselves in our culture has been infiltrated, stolen, dismantled, misused, or either not talked about, or not even given any kind of recognition. So Right now, if we look at media and we look at back in the 70s and go back in the 50s, and the tradition, as you saying, dancing to music was considered like ghetto. Having big lips was considered having big lips. Having a big booty back in those days was considered disgusting. So part of who we are, our natural being, I have a natural butt. I have natural lips. I have a natural nose. All these things that we have naturally in part of our DNA is no longer ours. It's no longer even given, even the braiding there. It's been marginalized in such a way that you would think that French braiding came from the French. There's information that is being thrown out, information is not being told, the story, and there's information has been left out. It's very critical to know where you stand because as if I was Asian, I would know where I stand. If I was Jewish, I would know where I stand. But for all these years, over 50,000 years, I can prove that my melanin skin was important when it comes down to ancestry and knowing where my DNA, where my African descendants, with my skin color is very known. But is that part of me? So, what I'm saying, most of our characteristics of who we are as people that shaped us, that made us who we are, is no longer ours. We should have put a patent on it. We should have got a trademark with it because now it's everybody's, but it's not ours. Like if we look at the history of Elvis Presley, he's very populated when it comes down to his publicity. We know where his Graceland, we know how important it is of his statue, his history, his contribution to music. But if we know the truth that that was never his music, and he was taught how to dance, and he was giving several rehearsals to come up with the concept of his image. Now that was also given in a traditional person, a person of color, who showed him these how to make moves when he was dancing, and how to lower his voice, and how to train him to be this specific person. They never gave credit, or you never even knew about it, that these songs were written by a black man, and his performance that he taught him, Elvis, how to do those moves.
Yes, so that's what we're saying about ancestry, culture, and demographics of racial culture. Um, it's very important to understand your lineage, to understand what you contributed to this whole foundation
Just your family.
and your history of who you are and what you pretty much have done for this place that you live in. And if you don't have this knowledge and you don't have any self awareness of this, anybody can then mislead you. Like she was stating to you, having nappy hair was not considered to be a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Having dreadlocks or locks was considered to be
Dirty
something that
filthiness.
was not really looked upon as being a good
Hygiene.
presentation for a man.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as you can see, we move fast forward. Everybody has locks. You see what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? When we look at the style of hip hop hair, the fade came from pretty much our culture. The fades that people wear. Now it's presentable to everyone. What I'm saying to you is that um, the same people that's been pulling the strings that have been keeping us in a box have been also using and taking from us. Like I stated to you, our culture here has been a fundamental tool
Burn it down
and has been also one of the
onto it.
striving type of tools that they use to get everything sold, to get things pretty much um, a platform so they can become accessible to other people because we make them hip, we make them much more presentable to um, display on our persons or either to use. So, with all these things being done, we have a very rich culture, and that's what we just wanted to let people understand. And we also want people to know that we recognize everybody else's culture in the diaspora and we see
And
what they
respect
bring to the
them.
table. And we give them all their props and much respect because they also build the building blocks to where we're at now and to create this foundation that we're all standing on. And the ancestry is what we all pretty much come from, and our ancestors had a certain mission. Like I'm saying to you, in the village, everybody had a different purpose. There was a medicine man. There was a person that was a villager hunter. There was a person that was a person that crafted tools for the
That's correct.
hunter and for also the medicine man to use. There was a person that made pottery. We all had a purpose in our culture. We all have a position to play in order to make a team. And when you look at a team, everybody has every aspect on the team. They have a running back, they have a fullback, they have a halfback, they have a wide receiver, they have a tight end, they have a quarterback. Everybody has to play a position. We're here to play a position to win. We're not here to play
Exactly.
a position to start turning on each other when it comes down to the third quarter. This is what we're doing now. We're at the third quarter. And instead of playing to win, we're turning against each other on the field in front of the other team, in front of the other people, and they're seeing all of our plays and we're losing. And from us being ahead 100 points now, they're catching back up. And what I'm saying when they're catching up is
Good
that
analogy.
your culture, your nationality, everything that is yours is being taken from you and being used and sold back to you. And then you're being told that you are not the originators of something that you pretty much can see on your own body originated from you. So we have to kind of get to a better, higher a vibration of thought or
And better respect
spirituality
for
and a
your
better
own
respect
culture.
for our people in a whole,
Exactly.
through the whole diaspora. Like I said to you, I don't want to bump heads. I have got beside myself getting angry, but at the same time, we all apologize. Even myself, I apologize. But at the same time, we have to understand it has to be a respect thing. We can't keep going through this every time with a
Fighting,
disrespect
bumping heads.
because money is not really the asset value. Okay, wealth is always going to be here. There's gold on this planet. There's iron. There's everything you can make on this planet that exists. It's given to us. We can always create. There's nothing that we should be fighting for that's already been ours, that's already here, that is going to be here forever. To fight for a piece of paper is
Yeah.
really that's crazy. That's crazy work. That's mentally you got to think about it. You're fighting for a piece of paper that really holds no value
Our
if
blood.
the value of it goes down and disappears and dissipates. So what did you do it all for? What was it? Thank you. What was it really all for? It had no true
Exactly.
meaning. So with that said, yes, we're going to move to our last and final topic. That is DNA results.
Mm,
So like Marcy for MLK was saying, she was talking about taking these DNA tests.
exactly.
I was saying that there's a lot of companies out there that do offer a good test. There's a lot of people out there that offer different types of methods of finding your DNA.
I'll have to do the research and I'll get back to you after I find a little bit more research about these companies because, again, there is also fake companies just as well. Another thing I'm going to send a shout out to that I need to let everybody know about when you see these companies called inventions, please don't chime on none of that. That's another false rap.
Mm-hmm.
But I just want to say that, just to throw that one out there.
Yes.
But so yeah, it's very valuable to respect your culture. It's very intellectual and emotional to respect your culture, because if you don't have any value to your own culture, then you pretty much don't have any understanding of respecting who you are, and that feeds into you. It's very important that we wake you up on this, because we're going to start peeling off the, how you say, the onion about who was here first and who came and how did we get here. But imagine you at your own house right now. You were comfortable sitting looking at TV or on a computer, or doing, or taking a shower, or even a bath. Imagine somebody just kick your door down. Once they kick your door down, they come into your house, change your furniture, put their furniture in, remove you into a position where now you are their slave. And now you are going to be going by what they want you to believe. You're going to be not adopt, but forced to believe in a religion that they believe in. And you're going to be forced to confine everything that they want you to learn. And you're going to be put in a position where you bet not go back to your history, your language, your learning, where you come from. Everything must be erased. So here we are here in this country where I'm born and raised. And this is the same attack that had happened to my ancestors. So if I believe that I'm here, I'm a person of American, and my people was already here, and this material thing removed my people from where they were supposed to be at, because another particular people came in and took over and made their own custom, their own religion, their own standards, and I'm just have to live with it and survive until I die. And this is where we at right now.
Yes. So the word DNA originates in the context of human ancestry, refers to the geographical location where a individual ancestors lived thousands of years ago. DNA ancestral testing analyzes an individual's DNA to determine their biographical ancestry, essentially mapping where this person is from. So they're pretty much getting your information, finding out where you're from, and then giving it back to you to give you origins.
And lying back to you too.
So sometimes when we're looking at the situation of DNA, we got to understand African people are people of our group. Our people that are pretty much a melanated group have been here for, I think, 700,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
So we have the oldest lineage on this planet, right? So when this whole map was Pangea, which they called it Pangea, maybe another name, because they said it was 3 times that this actual mass had earthquakes and reformed and unformed. Well, Pangea, that means that wherever the origins of the first groups, they first migrated, they went different ways. Now, when you have any knowledge in your mind, you would know that when people migrate and there's different groups, they're going to go different ways, their own ways. Okay, so when they went their own ways, we know some went to the Asian areas, which became Asia. We know some people went to the areas of what we call Caucasian, and it's what Caucasoid mountains. And we know some people went to Asiatic lands, some people went to the Middle East, and we know some people also went over here to what we call the Americans.
Different group.
So, what we're saying is that if the group that we come from originated in the place that we call the beginning of all mankind, the first lands that we pretty much walked upon, um, everybody migrated from that place. Everybody shares a DNA ancestry from that place. We all come from that place, right?
Mm-hmm.
So biologically, we all will have the same type of ancestor or share some type of common ancestor.
That's the race.
So when we look at that, that's what we're trying to pretty much state. Like, um, we have the longest lineage, we have the longest group,
Heritage.
we have the biggest heritage.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, with us being that big and diverse, we also have the most chaos and confused uh, type of attack that's happening upon us. Because, like I stated to you, if every group migrated, because they stated that when you look at history, this is done by certain people, not by me. Don't take my word for it. They show you that every group migrated. This is in history books. This is in every book. This is from scholars, people with PhDs. This is from doctorian people, people with master's degrees.
Exactly.
They all tell you this. They migrated in different areas. So the first group migrated with the Y chromosome. I think it was the Y chromosome. I think. Let me see right quick.
Mm-hmm.
The first chromosome from the original group that originated as man. So the concept of the first chromosome from the original group that yes was the Y chromosome. So it was the Y
Mm-hmm.
chromosome. So the Y chromosome. That's why it's good to read, kids. Good to get your education because these things come in particularly handy when you're having a debate or
Mm-hmm.
either an intellectual conversation with someone to know what
Exactly.
you're talking about.
And we have them facts because
Know them
sometimes
facts.
you can say things just because you want to say them, but a culture is also it's your personality. That's where you get it from. This product of who I am is the product of my culture. What I've learned since I've been here and born in the United States, and it's very important that education. That's one of the reasons why um, my culture is been pushed back some. So if we go back into other countries, like third world countries, you see the breakdown of what they are not able to have or is denied, um, deprived of. So it's very important to know where you come from and where you at right now. I'm talking about where you at in if you live here in the United States. You'll know the difference. You'll know you should be able to experience treatment. You have seen and knowledge what it's like to be in your skin color. You should be aware of some of the upgrade and some of the setbacks and some of the negative that is stimulated around your melon.
Yes. So being a melanated person mean you're going to be under a lot of um mental and spiritual attack. This is
Mm-hmm.
a mental spiritual warfare.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is first. When a person breaks down your mental, they break down your spirit. When your spirit is broken down, then your body's broken down because now you don't have nothing to fight with if you don't have no mental or spiritual to stand on business with. Um, like I was saying, the Y chromosome is pretty much the first chromosome of the first man or the first woman or group of people who gave birth to everybody, particularly, which originated from that continent of Pangea. So being from Pangea, all these groups migrated different ways. So what they're saying when they migrated different ways, there were a bunch of brothers, sisters, cousins, relatives, and families.
Exactly.
When they got so big and too big for the area or the natural demographic, they had to say, hey, I'm going to take this area because the food source here is
Exactly.
plentiful for this amount of people. But if we start populating too much, we will outdo through this food source. We won't have a food source. So maybe if y'all go down the way and travel a little bit longer, you can
You
find a
find water.
new water, new
Mm-hmm.
food source. So they gave them their things. They went on their way, and then the other part of the family said, "Hey, we're going to go up this way to find a food source." And that way, and the original family stayed there where they were
And to
at.
settle, they settle
Right.
down.
Just like a kid that he has five siblings. His mother and father lives in a big house, right? They say you can always come back home, but the kids usually leave home and they find their own mates to procreate with and live their own life.
Right.
They get their own houses, but they go back home to where they're from. They know where their origins from, but when you go to a new home, you make your home as a man.
Right.
Now, when you procreate with your children, this is what your culture is. This is who you are. This is what your demographic is. This is what your ancestry for
You
your
set
children is
you
going to
setting the
understand.
standards.
You're setting the new standards for them to grow and develop and to prosper in their lives intelligently. So, this is what we're speaking on. When it comes to DNA and the results of your DNA, it tells you who you are, what you
Who
are,
your
where you're
ancestry.
from, your ancestor,
Exactly.
your
Pinpoints it.
genealogy. It tells you everything that keeps you motivated, that lets you understand, hey, this is why I'm going down this path. My
Hmm.
great grandfather, he was a fisherman.
And that's what leads you into your culture, because it's like if you was a rabbit, you're hanging with dogs. You don't belong. That's not your culture. But you would find if a rabbit, you get with some rabbits, you find, wait a minute, this is where I belong. This is, wait a minute, the rabbits are out there eating little lettuce and veggies. That's what I eat. That's what I should be used to. That is my tradition. That is what I should be aware of, where I come from, and I made that connection.
Yes, so these are cultural values that pretty much give you your ancestry and it also dictates where you're from through your DNA and history. Like I was saying, if your grandfather was a great fisherman,
Mm,
now you find yourself always wanting to go fishing. You always want to you got a boat. You don't know where this comfort derives
and you're
from,
good at it.
but you're good at it. That's a part of your DNA. That's your makeup. That's what created you. That's what
Hmm.
gave you this type of
It's that
um
bloodline. Yeah.
that type of that push to try to get a better understanding on what is the reason that you always want to thrive and you feel good when you do these things of going out to the ocean and fishing and then you find out, hey, my great grandfather was a captain of a
You make
boat.
these connections.
You make connections, you start to build off of that. So yes, knowing who you are and your results are very important. Then on the other hand, you have to where you can get documentation, which you don't really need to take a blood test or take a saliva test.
You have these markers. It will show how you fit in. You could be here in America, come and find out you have relatives in Timbuktu, just throwing something out there, and it just links you right up there with who your relatives is and what country they come from. So it helps, you know, to get you a better perspective of who you really are and where you truly have your foundation from.
Yes, having a foundation is a good thing because to know who you are and where you're going
Mm,
is a great
powerful.
tool. It's very powerful, but and to not know who you are and where you're going is a tool that can get you lost in the sauce. Like what the rapper
Yeah,
said, you want to have the sauce, but you don't want to get lost in the
in the
sauce.
sauce.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You want to be able to be saucy and to stand out with your own flavor and your own season. One of the things I always quote out of the Bible is that to me, we are the salt. We are the flavor of the
Mm,
existence. We are the ones who make the style. We are the ones who create the idealistic ways. We are the ones who create the different type of feelings and emotions through our music, through our conversations, through our gestures, through our poetry, through our creativity,
exactly.
through our ancestry, through our just our whole makeup is like it's flavor, is seasoning wherever we're at. the diaspora of what we are as a people, as a whole of different melanated people, we offer a flavor to something. You see what I mean? It's you can add us to anything, and it's like putting a sauce on something.
Mm-hmm.
It can be bland. You add this onto it. Boom. It has flavor. It has season. It has something now that you want to taste. It has something that is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
People want more to come back for it. So yes, we have a lot to offer in this aspect of learning from our DNA results. And don't let our DNA, you know, be something that goes to your head. That's what I'm trying to state to you. Don't make the aspect of thinking that, since you're a certain DNA that you're better than others, because we all
Yeah.
pretty much are on the same playing field. What goes up must come down.
One human race.
We're all one human race. We all originated from one place. We all have something to offer. You know what I mean? So we just want you to understand that knowing about who you are, your ancestry, the demographics,
Mm-hmm.
where you came from, links you back to your existence of your people, the place that they're from.
Right.
The place that they're from
That's all
links
it
you back
is.
through your bloodline, and your bloodline is of your DNA, of your great relatives who pretty much created the whole path for you and gave you this experience that you have pretty much enjoyed thus far.
Yeah, because that's who taught you how to pick up that spark, showed you how to tie your shoes, showed you how to use the bathroom. You learn from your own people, and they show you how to do it, because other cultures may not use a fork and a spoon. They might use their fingers. They might use like chopsticks. So again, it's time for us to know how to come up with an answer of to narrow down who do we belong to, so we'll have a better perspective and a better concept of our lineage.
Yes.
And
So this has just been a
yeah,
building moment. Um, we want to thank you guys for tuning in.
thank you.
We appreciate you for spending time with me at the Rose Room discussion, and with Marcy for MLK with Power of the Common People
I love
podcast.
being here. Thank you as a guest. I appreciate it.
And we just
Hugs and
wanted to
kisses
let you
and
know,
peace.
yep, just do your research. It's good to understand information. Knowledge is power. You know what I mean? It's all there, and in the library is where the lies are buried at. So in order
Exactly.
to know your information, you got to go there and read and see what they've been lying about
Yeah, and get into
and
some
unbury
scholars.
it. There you
Get
go.
into some scholars. Get to know anthropology, archaeology, the biology, the study
Social
of
studies,
humankind. Get to know
history,
that.
English. Know your valuable
Dirty English.
PowerPoints of
Yeah,
where your origins was from, um, how they were pretty much derived and came to be what they are in perspective. So this is what we need to do. This is what we're doing. And like I said to you, this is not a put down to any race. This is not
it's a get
a
up.
disposition that we're trying to put ourselves against anybody. We are trying to enlighten and have a higher vibration of understanding and communication with others to let them know we also offer something that's very valuable.
And make you think about some things that maybe not spoken about too much, but we want to bring it out and be maybe that person's to let you know that it's very important that some of these attributions to our life is very vital right now.
Yes, and we appreciate you for joining in, tuning into the Rose Room discussion. I am MLR Rose. This is my trademark Intelligent Sounds, all rights reserved by me since 2019. Once again, thank you. We appreciate you, and we hope you have a pleasant night. I'm going to leave you with a slapper slumper, and
Good
we're
night.
out.